friends, and welcome to the beginning of a book series that I'm doing by Dr. Don Colbert called Let Food Be Your Medicine. And the subtitle says, Dietary Changes Proven to Prevent or Reverse Disease. This is an excellent, excellent book. I mentioned it in my Goodwill haul that I just did. And I wanted to, again, highly recommend getting your hands on this book. Check your local library. If you have an Audible subscription, it's worth the points or the credits. You get a certain number of credits per month. Select this as your next book, or on Kindle or Amazon or any other discount site. Check there first. But I got my copy for a whopping $2.99 at my local Goodwill bookstore, and it has been life-changing. And so I wanted to share a little bit about this book with you. So today's the first video in that series. This is put out by Worthy Publishing out of Franklin, Tennessee, and he wrote this 5 years ago, 2016. So I'd say it's still relevant. Sometimes books, more science data has come out and, it might not be as relevant, but Dr. Colbert has been a doctor for over 30 years, so a lot of experience treating patients, and so definitely a lot we can learn from him. But I wanted to read this little blurb here in the beginning of the book. It says, it's quoting Thomas Edison, and it says, quote, "The doctor of the future will give no medicine, but will interest his patients in the care of the human frame, in a proper diet, and in the cause and prevention of disease." And that was Thomas Edison, way back when. I think that's awesome. So, so we're going to just go through some highlights in the beginning of the book here. The introduction, this is what I really want to read that Dr. Colbert wrote. He says, "You catch a cold or the flu, but you develop heart disease, obesity, diabetes, dementia, hypertension, most cancers, and more health problems from the food choices that we make." Wow. That may sound like bad news, but the good news is trumpeting itself to the world. You can make good choices that control, cure, or manage these very diseases. So that's encouraging. And not only are the diseases treatable, they are preventable as well, he says. On a practical level, it's a whole lot easier to prevent cancer, Alzheimer's, diabetes, heart attacks, and so forth than it is to treat them. But rest assured, we can do both. That's promising, right? That is what this book is all about. Living a healthy lifestyle that both treats and prevents disease. And that is living life to its fullest. And that is incredibly exciting. Yes, it is. At the gut level, the reality level, people are people. They usually do whatever they want to do and don't change course until the last possible moment. Isn't that true? It's human nature, especially when it comes to food and health. Sadly, that human nature is driving full steam ahead off the cliff of ruined health, disease, death, financial loss, hurt, broken families, pain, and unfulfilled dreams. However, people do not have to ride that train. You can get off at any time you want. So that is awesome. You can get off the train. You can choose the life that you want to live. You can overcome, and you can beat your own genetics. I love it. So this is a lifestyle that brings life. It is not a diet or a temporary fad. This is about health, healing, prevention, and living to see another tomorrow. He says, "I usually see the sickest of the sick on a daily basis. They need real answers for real diseases, and that is what I do." and the answers they so desperately need are more than prescribed medications. Treating the symptoms and not addressing the problem is an easy way to get frustrated. Now, I'm not against medications for short-term needs. Thank goodness for medications, antibiotics, and more that save a lot of lives, for without them, we might be dead. But you shouldn't start with medications every time. They can truly help, but they are usually not an answer or the cure. The answers are found in the foods that we eat and in addressing the core issue of inflammation in the body. Now, listen to this. This is interesting, and I've heard this before. Inflammation is the root cause of most chronic diseases, including cardiovascular disease, arthritis, Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease, most cancers, autoimmune disease such as rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, MS, colitis, Crohn's disease, and more. Remove the thorn, metaphorically speaking, and the body heals. I don't have all the answers, but I have helped thousands of patients cure, manage, or control their sicknesses, and with great results. If you, like me, want a healthy lifestyle, that includes healthy living now, disease prevention, weight loss, treating the root of an issue, not the symptom, a brighter future, then keep reading. I thought that was awesome. So I wanted to read this little bit here about anti-inflammation living, because I thought that section was especially good. But before I get to that, I wanted to read this little kind of his dedication of his book. And I thought it was really good. He says, "To my colleagues who, like me, continually strive to bring healing to those around the world, it is our job to not only teach, treat, and comfort, but to also prevent the sicknesses that cause so much pain and suffering. Picasso once said, 'Only put off until tomorrow what you are willing to die having left undone.'" I challenge all medical doctors to do more than just treat the symptoms. Find the root of the problem and treat that. Then you can put your head down on your pillow at night and rest assured that your patients are truly better off because you are their doctor. I thought that was wonderful, wonderful. Okay, so I want to just read this bit about anti-inflammation living, since he starts off by talking about that. I kind of skipped over the first little bit, the first 1 or 2 chapters for the sake of this video, but I certainly read them. But he talks about his own struggle some years ago, and that led him to do a lot of research, and I'm sure has shaped the person that he is today, and so he wants to find answers for others. And isn't that so often the case, the things that we go through that we wish we never went through, but it serves a purpose, a greater purpose in the end. So that's awesome. So he talks about anti-inflammation living. So for him, in his quest for answers, he had a horrible, horrible case of psoriasis that went on for a decade. And meanwhile, he's trying to see patients, and it was a nightmare. But by removing the 2 foods that were inflammatory for him, which were gluten and peppers, my body was able to heal, he says. I had my life back. It was a tremendous feeling to know that I was free of the orange asphalt-smelling coal tar treatment that barely addressed my symptoms, but did absolutely nothing to address the root cause of my psoriasis. Yes. So hope was birthed deep within me. It welled up, permeating my heart and mind with the belief that specific sicknesses could be addressed at the root level. And if it couldn't be cured, it could usually be controlled. I had to wonder what that would mean to me, my patients, and to the world. That's awesome. true discovery comes from asking those questions. Sure, my world had changed. My new reality prohibited me from eating gluten and peppers. Could I live with these new parameters? Absolutely. I was alive once again. That's awesome. All right, let's go on. I'll kind of skim over some of this. Okay, so, and then he has a section, how this affects us all. Looking back, my search for an answer to my psoriasis took me down some paths that were not helpful. Oh, he talks about kind of seeking out various healers and kind of alternative medicine type things. But in the end, he did further research and came up with some conclusions. So then he goes on to say, food intolerance is where our bodies usually lack a certain enzyme to digest a food. Some say that a food sensitivity is a milder version of food intolerance. This may be the case at the superficial level, but foods that cause inflammation are usually doing a lot more damage than we realize. With food sensitivities, the inflammation doesn't usually flare up until hours or days later. All right, and then let's talk about inflammation is calling. Inflammation has a very loud voice, and it is warning us to take action. We have been trained, both doctors and patients, to turn off the alarm, to treat the symptoms and not the real problems. Isn't that the truth? That doesn't make the problem go away. As you may know, there are two types of inflammation. The first is the good one. It is acute inflammation, such as you get with a sore throat, a splinter, or a sprained ankle. Your body is inflaming that specific place in your body to deal with your problem. The key factor is that it is on a short-term basis. White blood cell counts, antibodies, and other inflammatory mediators are sent to the area to fight the sickness or to wall off the infection. And that's kind of how our body seeks to heal itself. The bad type of inflammation, however, is chronic inflammation, and it is long-term, unrelenting, and invariably leads to disease. Let's say you have inflammation of the arteries and are not aware of it and or do nothing to stop it. Consider this, approximately 90% of all cardiovascular diseases are caused by inflammation. Any food sensitivity is an inflammatory reaction. And when you continually eat foods that you are sensitive to, that eventually causes symptoms associated with inflammation and may eventually lead to disease. Ignoring the results is not going to bring health. It is doing the exact opposite. Consider this. Chronic inflammation of the joints causes arthritis, and 90% of arthritis patients have osteoarthritis, which is chronic inflammation in the knees, back, neck, or fingers. Inflammation of the brain is associated with dementia, Alzheimer's disease, autism, schizophrenia, and bipolar disease or disorder. Inflammation in the arteries causes most cardiovascular diseases. Inflammation in the muscles causes fibromyalgia. Inflammation in the skin causes eczema and psoriasis. Very interesting. So, let's see, let's skip over some of this, but I did want to get to the nitty gritty. Oh, okay, so he's talking about things that will help this inflammation that occurs. And so he says, over time from studies, testing, trial and error, experience, and tracking my own patients, I learned that a person following an anti-inflammatory diet must, and then he bullet points the following, eliminate sugars and sweets or include very little. And that's something that I'm doing. I'm actually putting stevia in my morning coffee, you guys. I put my sugar dish away. Bullet point 2 is only eat small amounts of meat, 3 to 6 ounces once or twice a day, 3 to 4 ounces for women. Limit red meat to once or twice a week. We usually, if at all, we have it once a week. And that's mostly because of weight loss, but health too. Follow a mostly plant-based diet. Eliminate processed meats such as hot dogs, salami, pepperoni, bacon, and sausage. Include healthy starches with a low glycemic value, such as steel-cut oats, quinoa. I always want to say quinoa because that's how it looks. It's not phonetic. Beans, peas, lentils, sweet potatoes, etc. Those are all good. Avoid fried foods. Limit or avoid or rotate every 4 days pork, lamb, shrimp, crab, lobster, and other shellfish. Include healthy fats from macadamia nuts, cashews, walnuts, and almonds, extra virgin olive oil, and avocados. And minimize intake of omega-6 fats, which is found in a lot of oils. Include wild salmon. Eliminate trans or fats or hydrogenated fats. Include extra virgin olive oil. Eliminate or limit or rotate every 4 days grains. Instead, use legumes such as beans, peas, and lentils. And we need to reach a healthy body weight because obesity is connected to most diseases today. Minimize nightshades, which are the peppers, tomatoes, potatoes, paprika, and eggplant, or rotate every 4 days. Be able to improve or control type 2 diabetes. Include exercise 5 days a week. Cope with stress. Include more sleep. And eliminate or limit GMO foods, which is the challenge of the century, isn't it? But yeah, the factoid where he says inflammation is the root cause of most chronic diseases, that's alarming and enlightening at the same time. But the good news is that we can do things to minimize that inflammation. So application for me is I do plan, he includes in the book, which I will discuss in a future video, but I do plan to follow what he calls his modified Mediterranean diet. And I am reducing, if not eliminating, pretty much reducing for sure, all gluten. So that's a big thing for me. I love Triscuit Thin Crisp crackers. I also consume goldfish. I have some things in a grocery bag to give to my daughter because I've cleaned up my cabinets. I'm not eating them anymore. So it will be interesting to see if these help with my joint pain. As you know, I'm surgically menopausal, which means I do not have any estrogen. So that is the main cause, I feel like, of my joint pain. I do take a joint supplement, which has chondroitin, glucosamine, MSM, and turmeric in it, and it helps me tremendously. If I do not take my supplement, my body reminds me, pain. But I'm definitely, I suffer from pain every day. There's not a day that goes by that I am not in pain post-surgically menopausal. If you don't know, go back and watch some of my videos, but I had 3 surgeries in a 12-month period 5 years ago. And this has left me with a new body, but I'm trudging on, moving onward and upward. Let's see, was there anything else that I wanted to include in this anti-inflammation section before I let you guys go? Yeah, this last bit. It says, diseases are related to our diets, and I have found it's always food related. I think that's just eye-opening. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but you know, if you are suffering from pain in your body, it would behoove us to figure out if there's something that we could do about it in terms of what we're ingesting, right? So for me, I've known for a while that I should eliminate, really reduce any other sugar that's in my diet because I'm on a 103-pound weight loss journey anyway, I have significantly reduced my sugar, but I am pulling out all the stops. Like I said, I've removed my sugar canister, so I am not having that in my morning coffee. I am not going to have ketchup anymore, and you guys know there's sugar in that. Ketchup is like a little... it's one of those condiments that I love. I love it on my chicken, etc. Even a small amount, it's not that many calories, but I am trying to do my best to eliminate as much sugar as I can. And we'll be talking about that in future chapters of the book. But basically, we know that sugar, you know, the main reason why we should really... There's many reasons. Weight loss, we should eliminate it for that cause. But also, sugar depresses the immune system. That should be cause number one to say, hey, I need to dial back my sugar consumption. But also, it does bad things to our brain. You know, it acts like dopamine for our brain, and then we're hooked on it. You know, it's so habit forming. I know for me, like when the kids have a birthday and we have cake, I want more cake and I want more cake because my brain is like, woo, we're so happy. But no, I'm not giving my body what it's asking for. And actually that is another key point, and we'll discuss that in a future video. But Dr. Colbert mentions repeatedly how the cravings that our bodies have most always are cravings that feed disease. For instance, I seem to like sugar a lot. I don't eat it that much, but I like it a lot. It would be my, thing of choice, my villain of choice. But did you know that sugar feeds cancer? There's another huge reason not to consume sugar, right? It feeds the disease. So anytime we can starve disease and it's in our power, let's do it. That's the right answer, you guys. So yes, and he was talking about in this book, Let Food Be Your Medicine. He was talking about how oftentimes those with high blood pressure and heart disease crave high fats, which I think this connection is fascinating, really. And diabetics often crave sugar. I know for my husband, he's pre-diabetic, and I can definitely say he used to really crave sugar big time. He would say, oh, I'm only going to have a little bit. But we know how that works. A little bit over time is a lot. So yeah, so many rich insights in this book. So I encourage you to get yourself a copy. It will open your eyes, really, that, you know, there's something that we can do to take control of our health. And like he said, you know, let's address these diseases at the root, right? You know, I always learn so many analogies when I'm outside doing gardening. And if I just pulled various weeds in the flower beds just at the base, you know, without getting the full root, guess what? They're going to grow back. And then I'm just spinning my wheels. I'm going to have to go out there and do the same thing again because I've never really fully addressed the real problem, right? And so it is with our health. If we don't get to the root cause of what is causing our ailment, then it's just going to be chronic, and we don't want that, right? So I am happy to share all of these just rich insight and all of these truths, and backed by scientific data. His website is drcolbert.com, and I'll include his information in the description box below. But let me know if you guys decide to get this book and maybe read along with me. I do plan to do several more videos in this series as we discuss a little bit more, and then I will share how I plan to apply it in my life, because this is one of those books that definitely is life-changing. And I say that about very few books other than the Bible. But this book has been an answer to prayer for me because, as you know, if you are following along on my weight loss journey, you will know that over the past over a year and a half, we're now in August, 1 year and 8 months, I have pretty much stalled with my weight loss. So I have been just praying and asking God for wisdom to know how to move forward. And I believe that I have found some answers by reading this book, and I am applying them. You know, it's not enough just to hear, right? It's kind of like the Bible says, don't be hearers only, but be doers. Of course, it's talking about the word, but also we can apply that in this case. When we're getting new information and more knowledge, we need to apply it, right? Because knowing is not enough. So many blessings to you guys. Comment below. I always love to hear from you. And if you haven't already, please press that subscribe button. I'd invite you to do so. And until next time, I'll see you soon. God bless.